Now, video doorbells have quickly become a must-have gadget for households around the world, with their popularity soaring in recent years. While they offer added security for homeowners, the rise of these devices is also raising some privacy concerns. Let's debate the issue right now with Jono and Michael. So, I mean, Jono, let's talk about the pros of these cameras first. I know that you're a fan. I don't know how I knew that. I just knew you looked like the type.
I enjoy tech, I enjoy gadgets, and I think cameras go hand in hand with that. 1 in 5 of us now have some kind of a CCTV device in our house, be it your doorbell camera or an actual camera that's there as well. And I think this is what a lot of people would see it as a big thing is a deterrent against crime. Now, if you're fortunate enough to live somewhere where it's not a deterrent against crime, it is a great way to be nosy about what's happening in the area where you live. And privacy concerns aside, I think inevitably you're out and about on the street every single day of the week. You are probably on countless video cameras. Right? Just at this second, aside from the cameras that are on us, there are probably several CCTV cameras observing everything we do from the moment we leave the house until the moment that you're back at home again in the evening. Unlocking your phone, simply that, is using your facial recognition. So therefore, my concern about the privacy or the safety is far outweighed by the fact that it gives you that privacy and safety. That anonymity, I don't think, is required anymore. And I don't think anyone has got, rights aside, anyone has that anonymity. If you go into a mall or a shop, you're waiving that right because you're on CCTV. So I don't understand why you'd be concerned to be on camera if you're not doing anything wrong. In your house in your pajamas, Michael, what do you think?
So I think Jono has an issue that we should talk about. But I understand the idea that people should not, they should accept the fact that there's a camera on them all the time. The concern, though, is what about when that footage is used, maybe in a way that makes me feel uncomfortable? And what rights do I have, and what knowledge do I have that it's actually being used? And I think that's where a lot of people become concerned. I do think that there is also an issue. When we live, and we've become very much a society that views so much, either TV or our phones or something like this. And you know, the dopamine hit that you get, studies have shown, is not because of what you're watching. It's because of what you're about to see. And I think that's why you'll get a lot of people who will stand very close to their door to look out, or watching their phone as their camera is looking out, to see what is about to happen. And I think that that's what really entices people. And I think another negative part of it is that people end up doing this rather than somehow being more productive member of society. And those are some of the concerns that I think society faces.
What I think a camera does is the equivalent of what my grandmother or my mother would have done, which is to look out, but to hear something or a skirmish of some description, or to hear anything, and to then get yourself to a window or an opportunity position whereby you can view what's going on.
I go and water the garden.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
if you have a garden.
If I hear anyone shouting outside, I'm right out there on the patio.
I think we're hardwired to be nosy neighbours, regardless. We want to know what's going on. My question is, you mentioned it, you're concerned as regards to what is being that CCTV footage being used for. Would that be something AI related, or where's the concern, or what is your concern if somebody's using that footage?
So it depends on if someone's hacking into my cloud and hacking into a camera that I have in my house. It also depends on where I have cameras. One of the issues, of course, and I have friends who have done this, where they have cameras hidden throughout their house when they're at work because they have a nanny and they have children. And I think that we sometimes take these things to an extreme. I don't want to act as though I'm naive and living in a fairyland, but I do think that there needs to be a better sense of community. And when there is a better sense of community, I think there's nothing wrong with, you know, going out and watering the plants to hear what's going on. That's a little bit different than having footage of somebody doing something, you know, slipping as they're going down the stairs, you know, that then becomes incredibly popular and goes viral on social media. I think that, I know I'm not going to change it. And I know that society is going in the direction it's going in, and I know that people will always find that their phone so much more interesting nowadays than so many other activities in life. But I do think that there is maybe a step too far when, fine, you have the peephole so that you can look through, but I don't know that you necessarily need it on your phone to know that.
Okay, that I can completely understand. And I will say that 95%, and I keep everything as on the cloud, 95% of the time I will view it live. So I will get a notification to say somebody's at your door.
Yes.
It may not be my door at my home, it might be at my parents' house, which I also have heavily cameraed. I understand that that may be a concern. But what I'm doing is viewing it live. I'm not going back afterwards to see what did you do at this time, who went in or who went out. That's not my concern as such.
But I wanted to pick up on that because, you know, we're talking about the surveillance culture, but I remember there was a massive murder case where I lived in London, 2 roads down from me. It was a Sarah Everard case.
Yes.
And this was huge. It dominated our media for a long time. And the way they found her killer, he was a police officer. He knew how to evade the CCTV cameras, but he was picked up on a Ring doorbell. So I think this is really helpful when it comes to crime.
And you hear a lot of these stories whereby something is picked up by a CCTV camera. The Sarah Everard story was a huge example of that. And it also gets the funny clips. And I'm not saying that that's what it should be there for, but it is a peace of mind. It is a sense of security. From my parents' point of view, if they're traveling or they're not at home, and even from my point of view, even if it's just a delivery from Amazon, I feel like that is a sense of security that you know what's there. So it's taking it slightly away from the curtain twitching. Do I need to have it all in the cloud? I don't think that's I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. And I do think, Michael, you make a good point. There's a lot of things that are out there that I don't think necessarily need to be kept in the cloud. I think I've got an infinite supply of storage on there, and I just think it's completely pointless. But I still do it regardless, because I am a curtain twitcher at the end of the day, and I stand by that.
But I'm a curtain twitcher too, but I wouldn't have a Ring doorbell, which is interesting. And I think the reason is a little bit like what Michael said there. Ignorance is bliss in my life. And if I don't actually know what's really going on, I feel like I'll go outside and water the plants as a curtain twitcher, but then I don't have to watch my door. What happens if something happens with my dogs and I can't get there and I'm all anxious? All these things, right?
What I've noticed is that when I say walking around town or in a mall, and I see how people are addicted to their phones. You know, they have their head down and they're looking, and it makes me want to. This sounds maybe as though I'm looking down on those people, but I want to be better than that. And I remember, now I'm sounding like the old man, yelling, "Get off my lawn." I remember a time when there was no phone. And I remember a time when there was more interaction. And I'm not necessarily somebody who wants that excessive amount of interaction, but I do think that there is making eye contact with people, which rarely happens nowadays. I think that there has to be a cutoff point. And so if there is a crime that's committed, fine. Survey everybody in the neighborhood, ask them for all their footage. I've got no problem with that. But up until then, that's when I think it's a slippery slope.
I think with the way facial recognition is moving forward, regardless of where you are in society, wherever you are on any given day, I think you're going to be on those cameras and you'll be recognizable from there. You referred to your animals that are at home. For a lot of farmers, this is also an option whereby everything is CCTV'd, so therefore you can see what's happening to your livestock, to your pets at home as well, to your elderly relatives who may be at home. And I'm not saying that my parents are, but it is a great sense of security that I feel, knowing that I can at any given moment open that camera, get a live view, and tell them that they are at home or that they're not at home based upon where the car is positioned. And yes, I appreciate that. It does sound like I'm slightly addicted to the technology that exists. Yes, it would be better if I was able to do that face to face. Distance given that it's thousands of kilometers away, I feel that gives me a sense of security, and therefore I'm here for the advancements.
Well, I think we've got to wrap it up here because there's so to talk about. I was just thinking if I had a camera on my parents' lounge, it would just be my dad watching golf all day.